Weil der Stadt is situated along the Wurm River. The earliest record of Weil der Stadt was in 1075. Originally, the name Weil came from villa or villa, so there was a decided Roman influence since villa means house in Latin. In its early days, Weil fell under the jurisdiction of the Hirsau monastery. In 1272, Weil became a free imperial city under King Rudolf I of Habsburg. The simple explanation is that in free imperial cities, the mayor was the head and they were generally self-governing. They did not fall under the feudal system like other parts of the country. Even after the monarchy was abolished after World War I, Weil der Stadt did not fall under the jurisdiction of the state of Württemberg, but initially continued to be a freestanding entity. Start your tour as you wind your way through a maze and enter this pleasant town. Much of the medieval wall still stands more than 500 years later. The town center contains a delightful array of Fachwerk, or timber-framed buildings. The current town hall was built in 1665 after a fire swept through Weil and destroyed the previous town hall. Following that historical theme, stop by the antique bookstore. They have a section devoted to antique books in English for the non-German speaker. Also, be certain to visit the tourist office. Most of the facts I use in this video come from an excellent book available there. It is in German, but with the aid of a translation app, you can get a wonderful tour of the entire town. Of course, there is always time to stop for a drink and meet the locals.
And this is Catherine coming out of the public toilet, because that's what you do when you're European.
And of course, to find one of the most famous residents of the town of Weil der Stadt, Johannes Kepler, we simply look to the heavens. Officially tagged with the label Keplerstadt in 2022, Weil der Stadt pays homage to its most internationally famous resident. Johannes Kepler was born here in 1571, and even after he left, his family remained. He returned to help defend his mother against accusations of witchcraft as she stood trial from 1615 to 1621. His home holds a museum opened in 1940 dedicated to his life and scientific pursuits. Be certain to wander along the Planetenweg and learn about the planets. At only 10 kilometers, this is probably the shortest journey through our solar system. Of course, the town is not only about Kepler. There are other museums to enjoy as well. The Stadt Museum gives an overview of many aspects of local life. Like any large town, industry prevailed, and you can see some of the products made locally. Of course, this includes beer. Like many other areas of Germany, when famine and political upheaval struck after 1848, many locals emigrated to America. Fasching is very popular in this region and has a long history. There are records of punishments for various Fasching activities as early as the 17th century. While the region became Lutheran after the Reformation, Weil der Stadt remained a Catholic stronghold and kept up Fasching traditions. Activities died down from about 1800 to 1863 when they revived and have been strong ever since. Weil der Stadt currently has multiple clubs, each with their own costumes to keep this tradition going. You get just a taste of that in the Narren Museum. Not only is the town known for its famous resident, it is also known for its abundance of towers and fountains which dot the town. The Judentor, or the Jewish Gate, dates from at least 1534. Weil der Stadt had a large Jewish community in the Middle Ages, though most were actually killed during the Black Plague. The Rabenturm, or Raven's Tower, housed a poorhouse that was destroyed in 1893. The Seilerturm, or the Rope Maker Tower name, goes back to when there was a ropeway nearby in the 18th century. Can you find any other towers? Don't forget about all the fountains. There are even more of them than the towers. This fountain stood in what used to be the cattle market and dates from the 19th century. The head on the Klosterbrunnen, or cloister fountain, may depict a wild man or the prophet Matthew and is in the style of a Gothic gargoyle. The Marienbrunnen, or Mary's Fountain, was erected in 1954 in response to the end of World War II. In 1943, the Catholic parish promised to erect a statue of the Mother Mary if the city was not destroyed during the war. Initially built in 1986, the Narrenbrunnen, or Fountain of Fools, depicts various traditional Fasching characters who were added over time. Enjoy a lively discussion with your favorite fool. The large church in the town, St. Peter and Paul, was built and renovated in stages. The oldest portion, the east towers, date from around 1220, and the clock tower probably dates from around 1420. These crucifixes date from around 1460 and depict Christ and the two thieves. The Baroque organ dates from 1699 and has over 2,000 pipes. The tile mosaic of the Annunciation is newer and added in 1947. The Sacrament House, built in 1611, depicts various scenes and figures from both the Old and New Testament. Outside the church on the west tower, there is a piece of metal embedded in the stones. This was the L unit of measurement for Weil. It measures about 60 centimeters by today's standards and was available to make certain all merchants were using the same unit of measurement. If you happen to have a large hunger, check out Samovar, a restaurant which delights the palate with Eastern European cuisine. For a smaller appetite, check out the Café Bistro Königstour for burgers or a cool treat on a hot day. See you there. See you everywhere. Tschüss!